We are back in action today on the channel. I am very excited to be back. I know it's been a few weeks, and the reason I haven't gotten any videos out is because I got a new assistant, and she has just actually been sleeping on the job a whole lot. Meet Ellie. This is my little girl. She's 1 month old, and yeah, it's been a little tougher getting videos out because we have just been hanging out, but today we're back at it. She's out here helping me. It's a beautiful February day, and we need to get some sunshine anyways. But she is getting a little tired, so I think we're gonna send her inside for a nap, and then we're gonna work to get on this Hummer here. So I got two H3s sitting here right now, which is like probably too many for most people because they're kind of a quirky vehicle, but I'm excited about it to having a cheap little off-roader. This one here is the one that we are pulling parts from. I actually already started parting it out. You can see I got a mirror missing over here. That's a skid plate for the fuel tank because I sold the fuel tank off of it. Been pulling off a few select pieces that I know I'm not going to use on this one. So this is an adventure, so that means it has the rear locker, different transfer case, all that stuff, but we are going to take the transfer case with it. I think it'll work in this one. I don't see any reason that it wouldn't. Might take the rear end because then we can just hook up a button to run the rear locker. I don't think we can use the factory button, but anyways, we are going to fix this one up. This one has virtually no rust on it. That one isn't terrible, but the bottom side of it is getting pretty flaky and the interior is pretty rough. So we're gonna do this one because it's a nicer one. It seems like it was actually somewhat taken care of, and that one seems like it was run through a creek. Now, when I got this, I was hoping that this one was a running driving, and I was gonna fix it up. Engine is locked up. It's clearly been in some water. I do plan to use the transmission from it, but what I want to do first is pull the pan off. So our big goal is to get the transmission out of this one and into that one. Oh, we got some wind coming through, but we'll just see where we get to today. It might be a two-part series till I get it back in there. We have the best weather ever. I would be working in the garage, but I'm going to give you guys just a quick little update on our new garage build here. As you can see, we got the framing and stuff done on the outside of the pole building, and they are going to start shortly here down in the lower section, adding on to the garage that you guys usually see on the channel. That means I don't have a whole lot of space here to work indoors, so I'm going to take advantage of the nice weather today and get done what we can. All right, so crawling down underneath here, our hope is that there's no water inside this transmission pan, and I guess we'll just see here. I'm gonna do my best to get the fluid inside this bucket over here, but I think the chances on that are fairly slim. So to get all the bolts on that side of the transmission pan, which you can see we're starting to leak some stuff. So far, all the fluid looks good. I know it looks pretty dark right there, but that's because we're under, actually under the light there, you can see. Not too bad. And yeah, you had to move the front drive shaft. It was good and seized on there. So, but I think we're good now to push her out of the way, which should give us access to get all the bolts up on, oh, covering the hit lens, up on that side right there. So also kind of unimpressed with the little snap-on 3/8 impact. This was one I actually inherited from my dad, and the new Milwaukee, it's a little older, one of the new Milwaukee Indwalts are much more powerful. It wouldn't take those little 10mm bolts off there. Actually, I guess they're 7/16, but I didn't have to use hardly any power at all with the ratchet to get them off. I thought they were like going to be real bad, but yeah, it's just that doesn't have a ton of torque. All right, well, I know this isn't the best view for you guys because, well, my tripod's sitting too high, but I'm going to try, I guess, to do this without completely spilling all of the tranny fluid, but probably will. Put a bolt in over on, where did I put it actually? That's the question. You know, I put it in up there, this side over here. Hopefully it would come down. Probably need to I think I got all the bolts out, who knows.
Yeah, I guess we're not really catching anything, but whatever. Gotta make it look like I made an effort, right? That's kind of what I was thinking was going to happen at first, but I realized I started putting my screwdriver in at the wrong place. Okay. So far, the training fluid... Oh, there it goes. I've not seen any water, so that's good. That's what we were hoping for. Let's look at this. Alright, well, the good news is fluid looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. Luckily, I didn't spill much. I dumped her out into the bucket there, and actually, I think this transmission is fine. Very little, you know, shavings or anything in there. Fluid looks clean. And unless they just did a transmission flush right before they, you know, flooded the engine. I don't know how that much water got into the engine. I mean, maybe it just went off-roading and sucked it in, or I don't know. Because it wasn't cooling. It was straight water that was in there. But, yeah, I think this transmission is good, so I'm going to put this pan back up on there just so we got something to put the jack under and stuff when we are pulling the transmission back out. So, what do you guys tell your wives when you put tranny fluid all over the driveway? Good thing our driveway is concrete, so it's not like blacktop where it wouldn't show up. This will be good and red for a long time. Well, I threw a bunch of kitty litter down on our BP level oil spill, and now I think I'm going to move this forward later because I really don't want to have to worry about sweeping all that up underneath of it, so I'll just pull it. Obviously it doesn't move. Pull it forward so we're out into the clean section of the driveway. But for now, since I'm pretty sure the transmission is going to be good, I mean, I was really impressed. I thought I didn't have a lot of hope for this because after I saw the engine, I was like, well, the transmission's probably junk too. But I think it's okay by all indications that I got, you know, in the fluid. So we're going to start pulling this guy out. What we need to do, though, is get to the torque converter bolts. You got to take the starter off. To take the starter off, you got to take the intake off, and I think you have to do that by going in through the inner fender on the side here. So that's where we're going to start. Go from there and see what happens. All right, let's pop this guy. Of course, it's one of those hoods that kind of requires two hands, but we'll try it here. Still haven't learned where the release is. Yeah, so the starter is down underneath that intake right there, and this was stuff you didn't see the video. I was testing to see if, you know, we could get the engine to turn over. The answer was we couldn't, and I gave up. So, yeah, let's just keep plugging away at her here. Oh. Huh. Well, I didn't picture the inner fender just covering up the exact same shape of metal on the inside. All right, so the game plan is I'm gonna put this jack under the oil pan. I'm gonna come over here, pull out this motor mount bolt on this side, jack this up hopefully where I can get all the bolts on that intake more easily. It's a little nice when you're not putting the vehicle back together because you don't have to do anything nicely. Of course, the oil pan is right under a cross member, so can't really hardly even jack on it. Can I get it from the back side? All right, just give that a little tension. I already broke this guy loose, so we're kind of good there. All right. Now I think we're ready for something to happen. Probably catching on the fan shroud up front. I don't really particularly care. Oops. She slipped off. Thankfully, when that fell off, it actually did wedge itself up on top of the motor mount there. So I think now we got some access to get in here. Yeah, we are tugging on some wires, but like I said, I don't particularly care. Now, there might be another bolt or two in here, but I think I might have gotten this thing out. All right, I don't know what it's catching on, but it's not anymore. All right, we are now in it to win it. We got the intake out, access directly there to the starter. Shouldn't be a big deal to get that out, at least hopefully not. Famous last words. Then we can get the torque converter bolts and bell housing bolts and so on. So this is our big step. You can theoretically, like the book on it says to take the intake off if you want to do the starter job. I forget how many hours it's for, you know, that says that takes, but it's a wild amount to do a starter job on one of these by the book. You can get them without doing the intake, but since I'm parting this vehicle out, I was like, well, I might as well have as much access to everything as possible in case I have to pull other parts. So that's the reason for doing it the long way. But yeah, I think we're there. Here we go. I don't think we're ever using that one again, so I'm just gonna chuck it. All right, now down in there, got some bolts, so we're gonna start on that. See how it goes. Now the engine doesn't turn over. I didn't think about that. So might have to leave the torque converter in and pull it later. I think. I don't know what else to do. While I was under the hood here, I decided to just keep working a little bit and making things a little bit easier because I am going to need this manifold anyways with the cat on down below. But I pulled off the heat shield here, and if you look right there, it's cracked. And you can get the cheap Chinese ones for like $100, 120. I'm not going to worry about fixing that one up. It's old. You know, I don't know the condition of the cat or anything like that. I can probably sell this factory one because they're worth more to a scrapper for more than I'll pay for the new one. So that's the route we're going to go. So I've been working on a bunch of little stuff here, but we are kind of at a stopping point because I'm running out of time for today. And what I noticed is when I looked in here is that the transfer case is really tight to this cross member. And it does look like I looked up online that you do have to pull the transfer case. I was hoping there would be enough space, but these front two cross members are both removable. This one here is not. So we're going to be pulling the transfer case. And then I did do some research up here. I wanted to take this valve cover off a while ago just to see what it looked like under the engine, and you guys got to be ready for this. Oh yeah. Yep. She had some water in her. So this engine, man, I really was hoping that with the starter out and the service area, like down once you pull that plug out down below, that maybe I could reach all of those torque converter bolts. Just doesn't look like I can. So I think got to pull the transfer case, and then we'll have to leave the torque converter on. Just pull the transmission off. Hopefully there's enough space for that. There should be once the transfer case is out. And then we can unbolt. Then we can actually unbolt the torque converter and make it work. So, but I hate to do it that way, but that's the way I think we're going to have to do it since the engine's locked up, unless I can figure out how to get the engine to turn over. But I have very little hope of that. So I wanted to get so much more done. I wanted that transmission out on the ground. But what we're going to do is next video, we will pull the transmission 100% out, and then I will, off camera, probably pull the transmission out of the other one, because obviously you don't need to see two transmissions coming out unless there's some problem. Maybe I'll do some highlights or something, but yeah, not
not as exciting. And then we'll put it back in. I'm not going to drag the video series out, but didn't get as much done today, and I want to get something out to you guys here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this upload. We're going to keep plugging away, and pretty soon we are going to have an H3 running and driving.